Hi, thanks for some time on the agenda today. I know we have a packed agenda. There's a lot going on. And as we always talk about the office, I know I'm going to talk about documentation, and I have a funny meme and slide for us to kick off with. However, I hope you'll bear with me because what I'm going to propose, I think, could have potentially very broad, sweeping, positive implications, not just for the legal and compliance function, but also for the organization at large. I'm here in front of you today asking for a budget to make some necessary enhancements in the legal and compliance function. The two enhancements that I'm asking to make are, number one, a large technology uplift. This technology uplift will allow the function to better manage our documents. This will in turn preserve confidentiality, attorney-client privilege, and other things necessary to make sure that we are safely guarding the important and key documents of the organization for the future. In addition, it will include needed AI enhancements that over the long run, with training and understanding, will help the legal and compliance function operate more efficiently and effectively, both from a day-to-day perspective and also from a cost perspective, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Secondly, in addition to the technology uplift I just mentioned, I'm also asking for a resourcing uplift in the term of two key hires in the department. First, a chief compliance officer reporting to me. This person, as we continue to grow and scale, will be an instrumental leader in helping us ensure that we are meeting the compliance needs expected by our regulatory bodies and other constituents, working arm in arm with me and the rest of you to bring us into the next phase of our business. And second, a chief of staff also reporting to me. This person will be responsible for many things, but predominantly, to start with, owning the various projects, including the project of implementing the technology that I've asked for in number one above. This implementation will first be in the legal and compliance function, but as I mentioned before, we will implement this with an eye to growing and scaling this in the organization, assuming that it's a success. This chief of staff will make sure that he or she keeps the necessary metrics to prove out a use case for different departments beyond legal and compliance and potentially the organization at large. While the initial budget outlay looks intensive, I have gathered data that's shown on the screen behind me from peers and industry experts to demonstrate that there are both financial and practical returns over time to the enhancements that I've requested. My data shows that the initial capital outlay will pay itself back in year 4. Frankly, from a sheer financial perspective, it could pay it back even sooner if there is any significant regulatory or litigation matters in the intervening time. I've also talked to many of you directly, and there are many use cases where just implementing this in my department, legal and compliance, will have some practical day one savings for other departments. For example, once we implement the technology uplifts and have a few additional key staff members in place, we could take on a full, robust complaints function wherein both client and employee complaints could run through this area. This would save a lot of time and energy for the chief risk officer, the chief people officer, and the chief marketing officers, whose functions have typically and historically handled many of those complaints coming through them. It would also allow us to streamline that data to figure out systemically where we can get better as an organization. Over time, again, I believe these enhancements could serve as a model for and be adapted more broadly in the organization. Everyone hears about AI, we talk about it all the time, and my data and our research shows that our industry peers are adopting AI at a faster clip than us. This implementation for legal and compliance could be a training board for the rest of the organization, and I would be happy to take on a leadership role to make sure that we are training our people for continued adaptation and adoption of current AI technologies. We can serve as a leader to our people and to other industry experts in starting to really get ahead of this curve. Additionally, in recent meeting with our regulators, there have been some concerns raised with regard to the ad hoc manner in which we manage documents and the technology systems being a little bit behind the times. So I believe that these enhancements would allow us to get really ahead of these issues that our regulators have already expressed to us and show that we are being proactive and adapting to the needs of the day. I've talked to many of you and I've heard some of your concerns, including the fact that we are in uncertain financial times for the next 12 months. However, I also believe that with Fed interest rate cuts continuing and the positive other economic data that we are seeing come out from the jobs report and the like, I believe that this is a timely enhancement, and as I mentioned, will pay itself back rather quickly. Even if economic times got worse, this would still pay itself back in year 5 or 6, if not year 4. Additionally, while other department leaders may wonder why legal and compliance getting this budget outlay and not us, as I mentioned, we will run and manage this project with an eye toward more broad implementation, rolling out more broadly across the organization with relative speed and ease. And I think that that could be a nice selling point to assuage other leaders that this will come their way soon enough. I thank you again for your time, and I'd like to reiterate that this ask for budget to both add some key people into legal compliance and a relatively large technology project uplift will pay itself back in spades, with an eye toward uplifting the entire organization in keeping with peers, in keeping with regulatory expectations, and in meeting the needs of our growing organization. I will follow up with all of you via email for written approval, and then we will take this to the board to ratify it at the next board meeting. I appreciate the time. Thank you.